The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Amen, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or the smallest part of the letter will pass from the law, until all things have taken place. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever obeys and teaches these commandments will be called greatest in the kingdom of heaven. I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to your ancestors, 'You shall not kill, and whoever kills will be liable to judgment.' But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever says to his brother, 'Raca,' will be answerable to the Sanhedrin. Whoever says, 'You fool,' will be liable to fiery Gehenna. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there recall that your brother has anything against you, leave your gift there at the altar, go first and be reconciled with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Settle with your opponent quickly while on the way to court. Otherwise, your opponent will hand you over to the judge. The judge will hand you over to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Men, I say to you, will not be released until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you, everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body thrown into Gehenna. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It's better for you to lose one of your members than to have your whole body go into Gehenna. It is also said, 'Whoever divorces his wife must give her a bill of divorce.' But I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, unless the marriage is unlawful, causes her to commit adultery. Whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to your ancestors, 'Do not take a false oath, but make good to the Lord all that you vow.' But I say to you, do not swear at all, not by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Do not swear by your head, for you cannot make a single hair white or black. Let your yes mean yes, and your no means no. Anything more is from the evil one." The Gospel of the Lord. If you choose, you keep my commandments. If you choose. We have a choice. The Lord allows us to make choices. Not robots, automatons, doing God made us to do. We have a choice. The prophet Sirach says that God has set before you fire and water. To whichever you choose, stretch out your hand. You can put your hand into fire, if you want to, or you can put your hand into cool water. Before you are choices of life and death, good and evil. You have those choices. We're called to make good choices. The Lord gave us the commandments to help us with those choices. 10 commandments. 3 of them have to do with our relationship to God. The other 7 have to do with our relationship with other people. Commandments tell us not to do something. Don't steal. Don't kill. Don't commit adultery. Don't go after your neighbor's goods. Don't do that. The reason is that it causes discord in the community and you can be in danger. The purpose of the commandments was to keep peace among the tribes. Don't kill anybody, because their families liable to come and kill you. Don't steal from someone, because the community may come and steal things back from you. Don't betray your promises. Don't go back on your vows, because that's how people will treat you. So the commandments were given to us to keep us safe, keep us well. In the gospel, Jesus is calling us not to abolish that law. The law was there to protect us, to protect the people. Not just the 10 commandments, but the whole law were given to the Jewish people, 613 tenets. The purpose of those tenets were to keep people safe. They had ways to clean your bowls, clean your bed, do things that were hygienic. Even before they knew anything about germs, the law taught them how to stay healthy. The law taught them to live as community, taught to have things in common, and to live in peace. And so we're called to make good choices, follow the commandments, and to do even more. Jesus says in the gospel that you were called not to kill, but support one another, rather. Go past what the law was requiring. We're given a choice. We can put our hand into the cool water, or we can choose to put our hand into the fire. If you've raised children, you know they test your reality. Say, don't do that. Don't stick your finger in that socket. Well, guess what? They're probably going to do it. They're going to have to live and learn by their experience. But we too are called to listen to the Lord. Listen to what He's saying to us in the 10 Commandments and in the Beatitudes, in the Gospel. Because we're called to be safe and to have a life. We just do what we want. We just run roughshod over other people. That hurts us as well as them. So God calls us to live a decent life, to live a life of love. Jesus talks about Gehenna in the Gospel. Gehenna was a horrible place. It was the city garbage dump. It was down in a valley below the city of David in the old city. Space is still there. The dump isn't there. The area is there. It's a terrible place. It's where they burn their garbage. There are dead animals in there. There are dead people in there. You don't want to go in there. It's dangerous in there. It stinks. You're liable to get sick or something's going to happen to you. So Jesus is calling us to make good choices for ourselves. God doesn't send us into Gehenna. We go in there ourselves. Don't go in there. But we may choose to anyway by our choices. Regret. Regret is a horrible experience. In the Old Norse language, there was a word that was grata, which is where regret comes from. Grata means to weep, to be sad about what we've done in our past, the bad choices we made, the choices we made that not only maybe hurt other people, but hurt ourselves. Maybe remember what it's like to be in your 20s. You're indestructible. You can do anything. Nothing's going to happen to you. You can just run about, take risks, take chances. But then we learn from experience, don't do that. Well, we learn it when we're 30. Well, maybe 40. Maybe 50. It finally dawns on us, do what the Lord is telling us to do, or you're going to have regret in your life. Regret is a sorrow that's so frustrating because there's nothing you can do about it. It's in the past. You've done it. Made those bad choices, and we're going to live with it. It can be a terrible experience. It's hard to bring any healing to it. So we're called to listen to the commandments. Live in love with one another. Don't mistreat people. Be people of love and compassion and forgiveness as Jesus teaches us. Because in that way, we make that good choice of putting our hand in the water. Don't put your hand in the fire, because you get hurt. And so a goal in life is to get through this without regret. Now, that doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. We're not perfect people. We do things we shouldn't have done. But we try to get through it with no regret. Our goal is to live our lives as best we can in spite of all the mistakes we might make. But we get through it with no regret. That's because we're called to make good choices. We're called to have a plan, be intentional about the choices that we make, and do good ones. Don't fight against God's law, because it's there to help us and protect us and live out our lives in health, safety,